Hello again, guys. This is topic 1-6 on solving proportions. So let's just dive on in. A proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. So you are probably used to seeing this given where like maybe a half would equal 2/4. And this is easy to represent if you think about a pizza, a very poorly drawn pizza. Alright, through the power of technology, here is our pizza. So when you have half of a pizza, it's the same thing as if you had 2/4 of that pizza. So you can see that by if you cut it in half, or if you cut it in fourths, they are equal. Now, this property always holds true about proportions. As long as the left and right side are equal, you can cross multiply and get the same product either way. So whether I take the 1 and the 4, cross multiply those to get 4, or the 2 and the 2, that also gives you 4. A little color coding there to help you out and help you remember that. So if I get back. So now if we look at solving proportions, which is what we really care about doing, when we don't know one of the quantities used in our proportion, say we have that x over 7 equals 4/5. So we can set that up and say, all right, 5 times x, that cross product, equal to 7 times 4. Well, 7 times 4, go ahead and write that out to show my work. 28 there. Then because 5 is multiplied by x, we would want to, that's right, divide. And we get that x is equal to 5 with a remainder of 3/5. Try the other one on your own right there, the 3/16 equal to x over 12. Alright, so if you did that one on your own, you would have taken the cross product of 3 times 12 and then 16 times x, set them equal to each other, and then you get 36 equal to 16x. Because this is multiplied, you divide, and you get about 2.25 for your answer. Well, not about, but exactly. So we use this property, always holds true as long as neither of them is 0. We obviously know that we cannot divide by 0. So let's try this one. If you think you're on top of it, solve this one real quick. Alright, hopefully you set up that 5 times y equals 3 times 3. We will divide by 5 on both sides. Since we know that 3 times 3 is 9, we get y is equal to 9/5, which we could also write out as 1.8. So now we move on to where our proportions involve some kind of binomial. So two terms connected through addition or subtraction. So now we have n over 5 is equal to 2n plus 4 divided by 6. So now we do the same thing with using cross products, but go ahead and try what you think would be the way to start this one. Alright, so what needs to happen here is we take our cross products, but now we have 6 times n, and then we get 5 times the binomial, so that needs to actually distribute out. So 5 times 2n is going to give us 10n, and 5 times 4 will give us 20. Remember to keep the sign because this was positive. The 6n comes down and nothing has changed. So now we want to combine like terms before we start trying to actually solve for our variable. So go ahead and combine those like terms. Alright, so to combine these like terms, I want to get my n term over with my other n term. So I can do this a couple of ways, but on this time I just subtracted 10n from both sides, which gives me a negative 4n over on the left side equal to 20. So now I bring this up here, and because I have a negative 4 combined with my n through multiplication, you should know what we do to solve. I'm going to pause this and hope that you get your answer. Alright, so then we divide on both sides by the negative 4 to get n by itself. When we take a positive divided by a negative, we get our negative, and that quotient is negative 5. So go ahead and try this one right down here. It's pretty difficult because you have to distribute on both sides once you get your cross products. So I will pause this and be right back with some help, but try it on your own. Alright, so when we set up this cross product, you get 7 from down on the bottom and q plus 2 from the top. Then the other cross product is 5 times 2q minus 11. Now you got to pay attention for that minus right there. So then when we do the distribution, we get 7q plus 14 is equal to 10q minus 55. Now go ahead and combine like terms however you would like. You can choose which side you want to be your variable side and which side you want to be your constants side. Alright, so this was my first step in the process. I decided to put my variables on the right side, so I subtracted the 7q from the left side, so I did it to both. So now I need to put my constants on the left side and then solve it from there, so go ahead and try that on your own. Alright, so then when I combine my constants, I just subtract or add the 55 more so to both sides. Because it was a negative 55 over here, we need to add 55. Those combine to make 0 on that side, and 14 and 55 give you 69. So we have 3q drops down on the right side, and we have this 69 from the left side. So now to get my q by itself, I can divide by the 3. We then get that q is equal to, scratch that, 23. Once I write, I'm kind of committed on here. 23 would be our answer. And then if you wanted to check, you could plug it back in up top. So you could say 23 plugs in for q, plus 2 gives me 25, divided by 5. Well, that would give us 5. Do the same thing on the right side. 2 times 23 would be 46, minus 11 would be 35, divided by 7 is 5. And my left and right sides are equal, which makes that true, which makes this the correct answer. Alright, so now we want to see how we use a proportion to solve problems. And we do this a lot in life, especially with nutrition. If you pay attention to food labels or what is in what you eat, most of the time what you're eating is not one serving worth. It might be half a serving or 2 or 3 servings, so you'll have to figure it out. So in an 8-ounce can of orange juice, there are 97 milligrams of vitamin C. We want to figure out how many milligrams of vitamin C there are in 12 ounces. So we have 2 different fluid measurements of ounces, and then 2 different milligram measurements. One we don't know. So I want to see how good you are. Try to set up a proportion with this, keeping the values that agree in a straight line, if you know what I mean. Alright, now I always tell my students that you want to choose what's going to go on top and what's going to go on bottom and keep it that way. So I decided to make my ounces on top and my milligrams on bottom, so that for each of the different juice measurements that I have, I can just make, here's the one cup, here's the other cup. So now I'm highlighting our cross products, and actually I just kind of changed colors and mixed this up, but you should see what I mean. So now 8 is going to multiply by our unknown, which will replace that with a variable, and 97 will multiply with our 12, so go ahead and carry that math out. Alright, when we do that math, we end up with 8x, I replaced our unknown with x, equal to 1,164, and we kind of lose units at this point because we know the units of what we're trying to solve for, so we just drop that off. So now I want to get rid of the 8 and solve for what just x is, so we divide by the 8 on both sides, and if you carry that math out, you get 145.5. And that label then would be milligrams, and that is of vitamin C. So now when we approach this problem, we now have 2 different units, and now it's flowers and time. So if we say we want, has been working for an hour, we're going to have an unknown time. How many more hours? And then we know that in 1 hour she transplanted 14. She still has 35 more. So go ahead and try to set up a proportion for that. Alright, in case you struggled to do it on your own, here we are. So flowers, I am going to put on top because I like to put time on bottom. A lot of times in rates we'll put time on bottom. So we can go ahead and say 14 flowers over 1 hour, and you can go ahead and drop labels off if you can remember what your unknown is going to be. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down here. We'll call it H for hours. And then she has 35 flowers more to go. So you see I have flowers on top and then time on bottom and my corresponding values. So then go ahead and try to do the math to solve through this. So when we cross multiply, get our cross products, we see that 14H is now equal to 35. And to get rid of our 14, we just want to, yeah, that's right, divide. And when you take 35 and you divide by 14, we get that it will take her a remaining time of 2.5, and our label on that again was hours. Alright, so make sure that you get the homework off the Schoology page. It, again, if you need to know, is right here on our Math 1 section. And you go into the Chapter 1 resources, and all the files are posted right there, although my computer's kind of being weird. There you go. Notes, homework, everything else. So hopefully you are doing well. Please let me know if you're struggling on anything. Send me an email, text, call, whatever. See you guys on Wednesday.